I've got all the figures from Wave 3 of the 90s return of Star Wars to the action figure shelf. Small waves, but interesting assortments. First up, this is where we get Yoda with a decent little figure. Has his cane, although it's full curve. I don't think he had a full curve cane in the movie, but we got the body that's just the leg piece is turnable. His little feet at the bottom, but with pegs if he had a stand. And then just the arms and the head, not so much turn as kind of spin on the spot. So really just a 4-point little guy. But he had his cane, and he comes with like the backpack for Luke to wear. Just kind of plastic with the straps. We got some kind of peg holes for that to go in, strap on Luke. And Yoda goes down in there to do a ride along. Well, pretty big accessory, even though it's a small figure. But even on the small figure, we have fairly detailed paint and appearance. It's a pretty good face for just a 90s figure. I have a whole video comparing this with the vintage collections, kind of a pro and con situation, not really a better or worse all the way. You can check that out later. So we'll also look at the backpack here a little bit later. Like, oh, I don't know, right now, because we have Dagohbah Fatigues Luke, kind of in his Jedi training gear. I know people like to say like, oh my gosh, they're so over buff, this figure line. Mark Hamill wasn't, I mean... He was no small dude in that one. Take a look at some biceps in that movie. He's in pretty good shape for doing the Jedi training. And I always weirdly like this scan. Mark Hamill is just a guy, super hard to get his likeness on action figures for some reason, but might be just some nostalgia talking here since this was kind of the head on so many figures then. But I think it does kind of capture a little bit of essence there in a simple way. He came with his kind of Han Solo-esque DL-44 he pulled out on Dagohbah. I don't think he pulled out wearing this. He might have had that belt of weapons, but we don't have the belt kind of thing going on here. And of course a lightsaber. It's probably one of those where there was a long and a short one. This is just the normal size, shorter one. But you can tell the handle is definitely this Anakin lightsaber. But since these are just 5-point figures, he just kind of has to hold out in front of him. Not real impressive on the posing with that. But again, Yoda coming with the backpack. Probably a better use of this figure than posing it with a lightsaber or blaster. Kind of a two-parter there. You put the Yoda and the Luke together and you have Luke in training. A little oversized, a little big. You can really stick Yoda down in there, but then he still has his arms that have to go somewhere. And he has a little bit of a pose thing here, so can't really stick him down in there too much, and the backpack is pretty huge so that it fits the figure, so I mean... Woo! Do the old flip. I mean, just on the shelf there, if you're able to stand him up, balance him with Yoda on the back. Which takes a little bit of your own force concentration to get that balance going, but... I think it still looks pretty cool for that, especially since a lot of vintage collection figures of this training Luke, kind of a lot of joints and doesn't look so great. This one's nice and simple, decent for just displaying on the shelf. So that's Luke and Yoda. The waves are a little strange how they're laid out because they don't show them on the back particularly matching up. Because there we already can see Lando and Boba Fett that we went over for Wave 2. Also always interesting to have like a bio, knowing what we know now with more movies and things. A Yoda bio, leaving out some information we know now after seeing prequel films that didn't exist at this time. 1995. Jedi Trainer backpack and Gimmer stick. Next will be the TIE Fighter Pilot. Pretty awesome one with some dull bits, although they are shining in the lights here, but some much shinier bits with like the helmet and this like chest armor piece. So with an all black costume, some variation, some silvers. Got the Imperial logo on the side. Of course, some of these are my childhood figures I always played with, so they're a little beat up a little bit, but a necessary one if you get that TIE Fighter vehicle. But if he was just happened to be on the ground, maybe he landed his TIE. He did come with the standard kind of stormtrooper blaster, but he also came with some heavy duty action here. Guess we're kind of doing the long range. He has to do some ground battling, and he's got some serious gear he can pull out of the TIE fighter. This is like a sniper rifle or something, like big old scope on there. I always thought that was kind of cool, since they just had the pilot, but he still had his weapons. But not really anything they're going to pull out in the movies, so probably wouldn't display it like this. And again, he's probably better suited sitting inside the TIE fighter anyway, since he is the TIE fighter pilot. He has just a 4 points, and then the head obviously has this big breathing thing, instead of it being attached to the chest. But if it was, then these hoses would have hindered his head movement also. But a little bit of a must-have on that one with the TIE fighter pilot. And then one I never had as a kid, we had Han Solo in his Hoth gear. Of course, a big bio on the back that you can pause and read if you are crazy. A little closer quality there for you. So the deal with this one, I guess this might have been a big deal at the time when it came out, because there was always the kind of controversy with Han's jacket in the movie. It was a little harder to see back then, and with the movies, the lighting was really weird in a lot of the Hoth scenes. So it was a little difficult to tell the color of his jacket. It was like that one dress. You know the picture of the dress? What color is the dress? It was like a lighting issue more than what the color of it was. So like the original like 70s and 80s toy of this figure had the blue jacket, because they kind of went with, oh, it's blue, because a lot of the coloring was kind of tinted blue. It just kind of looked that way. But here we have the brown jacket figure. And apparently with our new HD technology, we know that his jacket was indeed brown, like this one. So technically this is the correct figure, so maybe some retro collectors at the time might have jumped on this to have an accurately correct coloring jacket figure for my collection. But because that original toy had the blue jacket, I mean, it kind of becomes its own thing, because once you do the toy, it's like, well, the toy looked like this. Might just be how you want your toys to look. But if you want movie accurate, we got the brown jacket. The ski goggles are kind of shiny, which looks pretty cool. And just his overall, like, cold climate headgear. Got the hood molded there, little rank insignia. A lot going on, but again, if you're not just kind of playing Hothiness all the time, this was an easy skip. If he just had a normal like Han Solo figure and his pilot kind of vest. But he did come with his standard kind of pistol. Not that he really used it, I don't think. Maybe he did pull it out when he was going out against the probe droid. So that's pretty cool. Got the real deal, but then he's got kind of the made-up, got like an assault rifle accessory just for fun, like an extra big gun, another kind of scope kind of thing. Probably not a movie one, at least not one that Han was like running around going, "We have to get you out of here, Princess Leia. I'll get her out on the Falcon." He's like gunning everybody down and escaping the Hoth base or anything like that. And there's probably been better ones there, but since my collection has so many 90s figures, it's kind of cool to grab this one, and I kind of wanted to show you the Wave 3, which is what all these figures are from. Kind of slowly put out the figures because they re-released all the films again in the theater with the special editions. That was kind of phase one of George's plan till he made the prequel movies. Gonna have to reintroduce Star Wars. So once that happened, that's when I kind of came into attention with Star Wars as well. And so the stores were filled with toys I was able to get. Pretty grateful for that one because I definitely long since missed the boat getting any of the original figures. So these are my original Star Wars figures for me and my generation. And that's why I like to collect a lot here, kind of 90s stuff around that time. Show off my old collections or show newer collections I'm getting or finishing here. So for Star Wars or other stuff like this, retro unboxings and reviews, you'll want to stick around here. Leave accurately colored jacket Han Solo a like on the video too. You're probably one of those blue jacket lovers, aren't you? We know just what to do with you. Happily accept you. Hey, it's fine. If you want to be wrong,